Hello, Toastmasters. What is the real objective of exercise? I'm not referring to why we exercise. What I'm referring to is what are we trying to accomplish in the moment when we're participating in activity that we choose to call exercise. What is it about it that's going to help the body to adapt and improve? Well, one answer that is often given is progression. In other words, over time, you should be attempting to either lift more weight more times or run a longer distance or the same distance in least time. In other words, to improve over time, progression. But what I'm going to suggest to you is that may be backwards. In fact, I'll explain to you that exercise is a form of stress. When a body, if that stress is intense enough, it sends a signal to your body that it needs to adapt in order to be able to deal with that stress better in the future. And given that your body has enough time, enough rest, is provided with the proper nutrients, it will actually make that positive adaptation. And later, that adaptation can be manifested by somebody, in fact, lifting more weight or running faster or what have you. However, there are different ways for your body to adapt. One is, of course, by getting stronger, by building more muscle. But another way is by simply the body learns to make a movement more efficient. It becomes more skilled at the movement. And that second adaptation requires far less of the body's resources that your body is always hoarding because it's trying to ensure your survival. So what it will do is always take the path of least resistance for your own good. And that's why when people come in who have been working out somewhere else and they've been looking always at lifting more and more weight, more times, they're surprised at just how heavy what they would consider a very light weight actually feels when I make them do it super slowly and super strictly. That's because the adaptation that they've had in their previous routine may be as much or more a matter of their body becoming more efficient and more skilled than it is of actually being stronger. Now, if you're practicing for a sport, that could be a good thing, but it's not actually your body getting in better shape. The stimulus that causes the body to want to adapt is to cause your muscles to be fatigued beyond a certain threshold. In other words, the exercise has to be, excuse me, it has to be demanding enough. Ken Hutchins is the author of many fitness books. He's also, the one he's most well known for is the Super Slow Manual, the Ultimate Exercise Protocol. One of the concepts that he's come up with, which is one of the most valuable things he's ever produced, which is probably the most important thing in all of exercise, is the concept of the assumed primary objective of an exercise versus the real primary objective of an exercise. And it goes like this. The assumed primary objective of an exercise is to perform as many repetitions as possible with as much weight as possible. But this is actually the secondary objective. The real primary objective of an exercise is to momentarily weaken the musculature as safely, quickly, efficiently, and deeply as possible for the purpose of stimulating the muscular growth mechanism with the least amount of weight in the least amount of time. Picture this, that your muscle strength would be measured the same way that your battery is measured on your smartphone. There's an indicator that shows how big the charge is. Picture also that your muscles have a built-in charger, which they actually do. If you are working your muscles hard enough and that is continuous, you would see the charger gradually going down. But if you give the muscles even a second of rest, it will recharge, or if it's not hard enough, then the charger's working harder, it'll recharge just a little bit slower. So you have to have continuous, uninterrupted, maximum tension on the muscles for as long as possible And that will create, the muscles will fatigue very quickly and very deeply in very little time, which means you can get the same results in a fraction of the time with less wear and tear on your body. Now, there's other ways to increase the intensity that have become, unfortunately, in my opinion, popular. And that is to get people to move faster. And moving faster will, in fact, increase the intensity, but it also increases the force that is exposed to your muscles, ligaments, and tendons, and therefore the probability of injury. If you move slower, it's actually more intense and it's safer. So like physicians take the oath, first do no harm. That's the one that I want to do with all my clients. So the real objective, you notice, was to use the least amount of weight. So again, the difference between demonstrating strength and building strength. Yes, if you're stronger, you can lift more weight. But if you take a lighter weight and make it as hard as possible by going slowly and strictly, you're actually going to get a better stimulus. And because people are focused on lifting more weight, what happens is they start to use momentum or body English and things like that. And yes, they're able to lift more weight, but then that can also lead to more injuries because you could have achieved the same thing being very strictly and not using nearly as much weight. So, in conclusion, the goal, a real objective of exercise is to fatigue the muscles as deeply, efficiently, and as safely as possible. If you understand that that's the stimulus that you need, you understand how to deliver it in the safest possible, most effective manner, you're empowered to choose an exercise program that is going to be the best for you from the basis of safety, efficiency, and sustainability so that you can do it throughout your life. Mr. Chair.